So last time we had you here, you were pretty bullish on Boeing overall. You really felt like all the bad news is priced in. I think we're kind of in a bit of a different scenario right now. The union has said they believe this is the best deal they can get for the workers. The company's kind of indicated this is the best deal they can offer. Give us a sense. How much is at stake in this vote, especially if the union decides that they don't want to approve it?
Well, I think obviously this vote is going to be very important. Boeing. I think Boeing's given them a pretty good offer. I mean, you can sort of go and do your own math as far as what the general wage increase relates to other contracts. But I think it's a pretty good offer. I think eventually it's going to get figured out. I think you got to sort of look in the long term with Boeing still. Remember, there's a half a trillion of orders in the backlog, and essentially unconstrained demand for commercial
Tony,
planes.
1 second. In all fairness, you keep saying that. A lot of people say that to us, but certainly if they can't get this deal done today, doesn't that change some of the math in your mind that this is a temporary problem where all the bad news is priced in? I mean, is the idea of 2 contract proposals being rejected, is that really priced into this stock?
Well, I think it is, and I think the equity offering and preferred offering, essentially helps them out to bridge that gap for the near term. And so I don't think cash flow is going to be an issue. Essentially an alligator coming to the boat right now. I think over the long term, if they can't have this over in a matter of months, which I have a hard time seeing that going on. We're almost at 2 months now. I think they'll get this figured out.
Okay.
They will have a vote.
Right.
They've got to come back to the table, and it's going to eventually work.
You have a lot of confidence in the company, and it sounds like the union as well. You kind of alluded to this, the big capital raise from Boeing. They raised, over $20 billion to kind of keep operations going. When we look at that, and you also mentioned this big backlog of orders waiting there, in your mind as an investor, what's the long-term trajectory of this stock? You say you're going to give it a couple months for this contract to be negotiated. In your mind, what's the long-term trajectory of this stock? When do we see a rebound in shares? When do we see that uptick in production? You mentioned they have to work with the FAA quite a bit to increase production on the 737s.
Yeah, again, CEO Ortberg just said, there's no silver bullet. There's going to take time, and they're going to have to get the union members back to work, and then they've got to start the lines, and it's going to take time. But eventually, these planes will be built, and they're good at building planes. Every other second, a Boeing plane takes off around the world, and it's the safest record overall. The FAA has the safest record, and Boeing is 51% of the FAA's flying fleet. And the world and global travel continues to grow. I mean, you saw the IATA numbers that came out just recently, and people are flying more.
Tony, we got to get going very quickly, though. I do want to mention some of their customers. I'm looking at shares of Delta down 0.25%, American Airlines, United, all of them down. The last time there was a contract vote up, they were actually up in the pre-market. Ryanair on earnings, maybe a different story there. If this deal doesn't get done, does that weigh on these airline stocks in your mind? Are they negatively impacted by these months that you think Boeing has to get a deal done?
So I don't follow the airlines specifically like I do, the manufacturers and the builders and the servicers. But I think big picture is, these planes are obviously just right now there is constrained for capacity, which actually does help, seat pricing in the near term. But over the long term, they're going to need these planes. They are like razor blades. The planes do eventually wear out, and they need to replace them.